How to practice English. Every single morning, a heavy sigh escaped Amelia's lips. Her reflection mirrored the same old struggle, a silent battle against English. The desire to speak freely, to articulate her thoughts without hesitation, burned fiercely within her heart. Yet the words seemed trapped, a prisoner behind a wall of apprehension. Daily life felt like a relentless audition she always failed, leading to frustration and quiet despair. She yearned to communicate effortlessly, to connect with people from different cultures, to fully grasp the nuances of British humor. Imagine her, confidently engaging in a lively debate, or simply ordering a coffee without rehearsing the sentences 20 times. This dream, however, felt incredibly distant, almost unreachable, a beautiful mirage teasing her from afar. She knew something had to change, and soon. One gloomy afternoon, watching a captivating British documentary, a sudden realization struck her. The seamless flow of their words, the distinct accent, it wasn't just language. It was a pathway to understanding a whole new world. "This is it," she whispered. "No more excuses. I must learn how to take the first step for talking." Her resolve hardened instantly. The initial hurdle, she quickly understood, wasn't grammar or vocabulary, but rather the sheer terror of opening her mouth. How to make confidence in speaking felt like an insurmountable challenge. The very thought of making a mistake paralyzed her. But a tiny voice within urged her to begin, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant the starting point might appear. Her first practical step was incredibly modest. She decided to dedicate just 5 minutes each morning to speaking English aloud, even if only to herself. No audience, no judgment, just her and the mirror. She started with simple descriptions of her room, narrating her actions as she brushed her teeth or tied her shoes. This quiet act was liberating. Soon those 5 minutes expanded. She began cultivating an internal monologue exclusively in English. How to think and speak, she pondered. Instead of mentally translating from her native language, she forced her brain to form thoughts directly in English. It felt awkward initially, a clumsy dance of unfamiliar words, but persistence was her unwavering ally. This mental exercise proved revolutionary. Whenever she saw an object, she'd name it in English. If a problem arose, she'd mentally debate solutions in English. Slowly, her brain started to rewire itself. The gap between thinking and speaking began to shrink, making the entire process feel less daunting. This was a true breakthrough for her. Next came the immersion phase. How to learn English, she researched, realizing the importance of authentic input. Specifically, she immersed herself in British English. Podcasts like Desert Island Discs, BBC News reports, and countless British television dramas became her constant companions. She focused not just on understanding words, but also on intonation and rhythm. A critical technique she discovered was shadowing. Playing a short audio clip, she tried to repeat the words immediately after the speaker, mimicking their pronunciation, stress, and pace. It felt silly at first, like talking to herself in a strange echo chamber, but the improvement in her articulation was undeniable. This was how to practice English effectively. She paid close attention to specific British sounds, the tea and butter versus the American tea, or the distinct vowel sounds. Online resources, dedicated to British pronunciation guides, became invaluable tools. She would record herself speaking and compare it to native speakers, diligently noting discrepancies and working to correct them until she achieved clarity. Vocabulary building was a daily ritual. She started a dedicated notebook for new words and phrases, noting down their context and examples of usage. Flashcards, both digital and physical, became her friends. She didn't just memorize definitions. She actively tried to incorporate new words into her internal monologue and, eventually, her spoken practice sessions. Grammar, often a source of anxiety, was approached systematically. Instead of overwhelming herself with complex rules, she focused on understanding common sentence structures and verb tenses that she frequently encountered. She completed short online exercises and reviewed her own written sentences for errors. Gradual progress was her mantra, not instant perfection. Amelia realized that solitary practice, while helpful, could only take her so far. How to talk with anyone? She wondered. She needed real human interaction. Hesitantly, she sought out online language exchange partners, specifically those interested in British English. The idea of talking to a stranger was terrifying, but the need to progress pushed her forward. Her first video call was a blur of nerves and stuttered apologies. Her heart pounded like a drum, yet the person on the other end was incredibly patient and encouraging. It wasn't perfect, far from it, but she had done it. She had taken the first step for talking with a real person. A small victory, but a monumental one for Amelia. Mistakes were inevitable, and she slowly learned to embrace them. Each error wasn't a failure but a learning opportunity. When she mispronounced a word or used incorrect grammar, her partner gently corrected her, and she'd make a mental note. This shift in perspective was crucial for building confidence. It was part of the learning journey. Before each conversation, she'd prepare a few topics or questions she wanted to discuss. This reduced the pressure of spontaneous conversation and gave her a safety net. It allowed her to gather relevant vocabulary and structure her thoughts beforehand. This strategy proved immensely helpful in maintaining the flow of conversation and boosting her self-assurance. She also focused on active listening. Instead of just formulating her next sentence, she genuinely paid attention to what the other person was saying, asking follow-up questions, paraphrasing their points, and showing genuine interest improved the quality of her conversations. This made interactions more natural and less like a forced language exercise. A powerful tip she received was to record herself speaking. Whether it was a monologue about her day or a simulated conversation, listening back was incredibly insightful. She could identify areas for improvement in pronunciation, speed, and word choice. It provided objective feedback that helped her refine her spoken English skills over time. Initially, she spoke too quickly, trying to cram all her thoughts out before she lost confidence. However, she learned the importance of slowing down. A slower, clearer delivery made her more understandable and gave her brain time to process thoughts. It wasn't about speed. It was about clarity and confidence. This was a vital talking tip. She discovered the power of polite filler words or phrases. Well, you know, I mean, actually. These provided natural pauses, allowing her to collect her thoughts without sounding completely silent or flustered. They made her speech sound more natural and gave her a moment to formulate her next point smoothly and effectively. Beyond words, she realized the importance of nonverbal cues. Maintaining eye contact, using appropriate hand gestures, and having open body language conveyed confidence and engagement. Even if her words weren't perfect, Her demeanor could still communicate her intent and enthusiasm, making interactions much more pleasant and meaningful for everyone involved. She began to subtly mimic the rhythm and intonation patterns of native British speakers. Not just individual words, but the way they connected phrases, the rise and fall of their voices. This made her speech sound more natural and less robotic. It was an advanced step in her journey to truly talk in English authentically and effectively. Reading English books and articles aloud became another daily practice. This helped her connect the written word with its spoken form, improving her reading fluency and pronunciation simultaneously. She'd choose materials slightly above her comfort level to challenge herself with new vocabulary and complex sentence structures, constantly pushing her boundaries. To enhance her ability to think and speak spontaneously, she started practicing storytelling. She would pick a random object or a simple event and try to describe it or narrate a short story about it in English, without preparation. This forced her brain to retrieve vocabulary and construct sentences on the fly, building crucial agility. Her immersion extended beyond just formal lessons or conversation partners. She started cooking British recipes while narrating the steps in English. She'd describe her daily commute or comment on the weather. Every mundane activity became an opportunity to practice, turning her entire environment into a living, breathing English classroom. Instead of one grand goal of fluency, she set small, achievable goals. For instance, today I will use 3 new vocabulary words, or I will ask a follow-up question in my next conversation. Celebrating these mini victories fueled her motivation and made the entire learning process feel much less overwhelming and more manageable. The most important lesson she learned was consistency. Even on days when she felt tired or unmotivated, she committed to at least 5 or 10 minutes of English practice. Little by little, these small efforts accumulated, forming a powerful wave of progress. This unwavering discipline was the bedrock of her impressive transformation. She learned not to be afraid to ask for clarification when she didn't understand something. Could you please rephrase that? Or what do you mean by that word? Became common phrases. This showed her willingness to learn and prevented misunderstandings, making conversations smoother and more productive for everyone involved. As her confidence grew, she started to find her own voice in English. It wasn't just about mimicking. It was about expressing her unique personality and thoughts. She discovered that English offered a wonderful new medium for self-expression, allowing her to connect with others on a deeper, more authentic level than ever before. Every milestone, no matter how small, was celebrated. Successfully completing a conversation without major awkwardness, understanding a complex British idiom, or giving a short impromptu speech, these moments were savored. Acknowledging progress reinforced positive habits and made the journey incredibly rewarding and fulfilling for Amelia. There were days of doubt, moments when she felt like giving up. The daily day's struggle was real. But then she'd remind herself of how far she had come. The silent Amelia transforming into someone capable of communicating with growing ease. Her persistence became her greatest strength, pushing her past plateaus and setbacks. The initial fear of speaking gradually morphed into excitement. Each new conversation became an adventure, an opportunity to explore new ideas and expand her understanding of the world. The language barrier, once a formidable wall, was now a bridge connecting her to a myriad of fascinating experiences and diverse perspectives. Fluency, she realized, wasn't an endpoint but a continuous journey. It wasn't about speaking perfectly, but about communicating effectively and confidently. Her focus shifted from flawless grammar to clear, understandable expression. This realistic approach reduced pressure and allowed her to enjoy the process of continuous improvement wholeheartedly. Her focus on British English extended to embracing the culture. She watched British comedies, read British novels, and even tried to understand the rules of cricket, a valiant, albeit challenging, effort. This deeper cultural understanding enriched her language learning, making it more meaningful and enjoyable every single day. "Let me tell you talking tips," she would often tell new learners. "Start small. Talk to yourself. Shadow. Listen actively. Don't fear mistakes. Prepare topics. And most importantly, practice, practice, practice." Her advice came from genuine experience, resonating with others facing similar challenges. She became a mentor. Overcoming self-consciousness was a huge battle. She recognized that most people were too focused on themselves to heavily judge her English, and those who did judge weren't worth her time or energy. This liberating realization allowed her to relax and speak more freely, unleashing her true potential without inhibition or reservation. She actively sought opportunities to use English in real-life scenarios, volunteering, joining international clubs, even translating simple documents for friends. These practical applications solidified her learning and boosted her confidence in using English for functional purposes, not just in structured practice sessions. Felt incredibly real. The greatest reward was the joy of connection. She could now converse with foreign tourists in her city, understand international news reports directly, and even form friendships with native English speakers. The world, once segmented by language barriers, felt infinitely more open and accessible to her every single day. Her newfound English skills expanded her horizons professionally too. She could read academic papers, participate in international webinars, and access a wealth of information previously unavailable to her. It wasn't just about talking. It was about opening doors to knowledge and opportunities globally. A true game changer. Even after achieving significant progress, Amelia understood the importance of maintaining momentum. Language learning is a lifelong journey. She continued to listen to British podcasts, read new books, and engage in conversations, ensuring her skills remained sharp and continued to evolve with each passing week. "How to think and speak," she would emphasize. "It's about creating a mental space where English resides. Label everything around you mentally. Narrate your day. Don't translate. Conceptualize directly in English." This bridge between thought and expression is crucial for natural conversation flow. This was her key insight. For those struggling with the first step for talking, she advised starting with small talk. Simple greetings, asking for directions, commenting on the weather. These low-stakes interactions build confidence without the pressure of a deep conversation. Every tiny successful exchange adds to your speaking courage. She compiled a mental list of conversation starters. What brings you here? Have you been to local landmark? What do you do for fun? These prompts helped her initiate discussions and keep them flowing, especially when facing new people or unfamiliar social situations. Her repertoire grew steadily. Discomfort was part of the process, she acknowledged. Awkward silences, miscommunications, feeling silly. These were all natural. Lean into the discomfort, she'd say. It's a sign you're pushing your boundaries. Growth rarely happens within your comfort zone. Embrace the awkwardness. It means you are learning. Her success wasn't due to innate talent, but a consistent routine. Her daily day's struggle transformed into a structured learning journey. Morning practice, listening during commute, evening conversations. This routine embedded English deeply into her life, making it a natural part of her existence, not just a study subject. From my daily day's struggle to effortless communication, Amelia's transformation was inspiring. She proved that dedication combined with smart strategies could dismantle any language barrier. Her journey was a testament to the fact that confidence in speaking isn't magically granted. It's meticulously built, brick by painful brick. Her British English accent became noticeably authentic, a source of quiet pride. Friends and acquaintances often commented on how natural she sounded, mistaking her for a native speaker at times. This was the result of countless hours of focused listening, shadowing, and deliberate pronunciation practice. "Let's talk in British English," she'd enthusiastically suggest to her language partners. She found joy in exploring British idioms, slang, and cultural references, making her conversations richer and more nuanced. It wasn't just about words. It was about truly understanding the British way of expressing thoughts. Amelia, once a timid learner, had now become a valuable resource for others. People sought her advice on how to talk in English, drawn by her evident progress and encouraging demeanor. She shared her insights freely, explaining her journey from apprehension to genuine linguistic freedom. Her experience was invaluable. Her journey continues, always learning, always refining. The initial fear was replaced by a lifelong curiosity and passion for language. English was no longer a burden but a gateway, leading her to new discoveries, fascinating people, and a profound sense of accomplishment every single day. One final, slightly unconventional tip: embrace impersonation. She sometimes pretended to be a British news anchor or a character from a TV show. This playful approach reduced anxiety and helped her experiment with different speech patterns and intonations, making the practice much more enjoyable and effective. Amelia always advised new learners to find their core motivation. Was it for travel? For work? For connection? Understanding the why behind their learning fueled persistence through difficult periods. Her own motivation, connection, and understanding kept her going when the daily day's struggle felt overwhelming. Daily immersion became her way of life. She changed her phone language, watched YouTube videos in English, listened to British music. Every available moment was a chance to absorb the language naturally, transforming her environment into a continuous learning playground. This constant exposure was vital. Perhaps the most crucial advice: be patient with yourself. Language acquisition is not a race. There will be good days and bad days. Celebrate small victories, learn from setbacks, and keep moving forward. Amelia learned that self-compassion was just as important as discipline on this challenging, yet rewarding path. Today, Amelia is a confident English speaker. The silent girl who once struggled with basic greetings now articulates complex ideas with ease. Her story is a powerful reminder that anyone, with consistent effort and the right strategies, can overcome the fear of speaking and master a new language.